Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toy Escapades channel in Malaysia. The mega massive MOTU Origins ETERNIA Playset has started shipping to everyone who backed it all the way back in 2022. And special thanks to the fully rockin' Mr. Home Arcade for sending over these sensational scans for me to do this review of the mini comic that's included with the set. Battlefield Eternia. Actually, the entire artwork spread on this massive beast of a packaging box looks like a comic book story that's unfolding, but the one within the mini comic is something entirely different. I will say that the cover art here seems maybe a bit more cartoony than usual, especially the facial expressions on these guys here. Now, the story starts off with the following opening narrative. In 1986, the original mini-comic released with the first Eternia playset left off on the most epic cliffhanger in MOTU history. Was it though? The story remained unfinished. Promises were left unfulfilled until now. Now, I actually reviewed that first mini-comic titled The Ultimate Battleground 3 years ago on the channel. I had to go back and check on what the cliffhanger was exactly because He-Man did manage to defeat Skeletor in that one, and Skeletor ended up splitting the scene, vowing to return, but that's what he does all the time anyway, right? And there was maybe the promise of a battle to come, but that could have taken place anytime, I guess. Not necessarily right that instant, but it's taking place now. There is a full-page recap of the events that came before. Skeletor and King Hiss using their dark magics to raise the mystical towers of Eternia. Towers so powerful that they give Skeletor the power to take on even He-Man, but not powerful enough to take him down. As we discussed, Skeletor is defeated, but swears to return and reclaim the towers. Now, this could very well be the biggest battle the entire planet has ever seen. Skeletor's forces begin to assemble, and so do the heroic warriors. And by the way, that sure is a lot of heroic warriors crammed into one panel, including Man-at-Arms, Stratos, Snout Spout, Cyclone, Mossman, Buzz-Off, Roboto, and Rio Blast, who I'm sure is just waiting for the chance to make pew 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 sounds in battle again. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. But suddenly, the battle is joined by a monstrous-looking King Hiss, who was in fact also with Skeletor during the initial raising of the Towers of Eternia, but who was completely forgotten about by the writers of the original mini-comic story because by the end of that story, there was no mention of him whatsoever. That tale ended, but 40 years later, we finally return to his story arc and find out that the mystical powers within Eternia have transformed him into a monstrously mutated mega snake, now known as Emperor Hiss. By the way, He-Man looks kind of dopey here in this shot, okay? Anyway, He-Man, for one of the rarest moments in existence, appears to actually be in trouble, and he calls upon the energies of the Power Sword and the assistance of all those who have wielded it before. And has he ever done that before, by the way? His call for help is answered as we suddenly see this giant blade thrusted through King Hiss's mouth. Shit, that's violent. It's a good thing that only 40-year-old adults now read these children's toy-based comics. Okay, we see that the blade belongs to King Grayskull, an exclusive action figure that's included for all the early backers of the Eternia playset. He tosses Hiss into the moat below, which is the home of Moti, another exclusive figure that comes only with the playset. Now, if Kekla had been a successful stretch goal as well, I bet we would have seen him on this page too. King Grayskull has a story to tell, and it's one cracker of a tale. We're introduced to the sorceress Osira. I'm pretty sure that it's a new character, as I don't remember another black female in MOTU other than Andra. And Clamchamp never had a wife. Osira is trapped in a realm between worlds, unable to free herself. How did she come to such a predicament? Well, before her imprisonment, she was in fact Queen Grayskull, wife to King Grayskull, until war came to their castle doors. we see a sorcerer from another realm who sought to cast a spell of exile against the king, but struck his queen instead. Now, just who is this sorcerer guy? Well, nobody knows. But it's just more of the world building that's happening here, so you just go along with it. Now, somehow, Osira is the only resident of this nether realm where she's trapped in. But there's an ancient library filled with eldritch texts, okay, as written here. You see the word? You see that word that's used there? Eldritch. That's a word that you don't come across too often, okay? That word is straight out of some H.P. Lovecraft shit. Now, anyway, the books within the library are filled with forbidden spells that Osira is able to decipher, learn, and master. And she sure does master them. From how the book describes her, apparently she's on par with the sorceress of Grayskull. Now, somehow though, she's in this nether realm and this huge library of books all by herself with not a single person there with her. And if the other evil sorcerer originally intended to exile King Grayskull to a place of nothingness, didn't he know about this library of spells that was conveniently there as well? Okay, but despite all her newfound power, Osira is unable to find her way back to her own realm and to the arms of King Grayskull, who has also been crossing realms in the hopes of finding her. Suddenly, our heroes are interrupted by the sound of cackling laughter. Skeletor has somehow found a way to sneak back into the towers for another taste of power from the mystic machines. But this time, he's not consuming with caution anymore. This time, he's taking it all in to become something that no one was expecting. The Skelegod. That's right, the version of Skeletor from the Revolution cartoon that everyone forgot about, and the first ever deluxe figure for Masterverse that everyone bought 3 years ago and then wished they didn't. And have you noticed that nobody ever talks about this figure at all? To defeat the Skelegod, King Grayskull and He-Man split the power sword so they each have swords to hold in battle. But, just a question though, is a split power sword more powerful than one that is combined? They strike at him, and while this immense show of power emanates through the cosmos, Osira is also spellcasting simultaneously from her trapped realm. Now, there's just so much power being released that the very ground itself begins to shake and tremble, and we are treated to this massive 2-page spread of the heroes and villains of Eternia just going at it, while the universe itself appears to be on the verge of imploding with untamed energies. The electrical release of energies also causes the souls of Skeletor's skeleton warrior army to be set free, bringing a resolution as opposed to the fate of Garrick from the Bones Beneath Mini-Comic. Go check out my review of that one as well from a few months back. The explosive eruption of mystical forces brings the battle to a standstill, heroes and villains left stunned by the supreme display of power unfolding before their eyes. And is Snoutspout crying? Through the storm of light, something amazing happens. Osira reappears and is reunited in the arms of her loving husband, King Grayskull. Or maybe she liked it where she was, okay? Surrounded by all the forbidden spells that she enjoyed mastering. Who knows? But Orko certainly seems impressed with her unlimited knowledge of the arcane. Anyway, the story ends on a happy note. Two long-lost lovers reunited, but there's no sign of He-Man and Skeletor at the end. No mention of them, no resolution as to what happened to Skelegod. Maybe it's another cliffhanger ending to be resolved with the next reissue of Eternia in 40 years' time? I mean, you tell me, guys. Now, in the last few panels here, it does seem as though something appears to be missing, because it looks like something drops into the moat where Moti is, because there's a sound effect there like bloop, something drops into the water, right? And then the next panel, we see him burping as though he's just consumed something, ate something, but we don't actually see what it is, all right? So maybe the artist forgot to put it in, or maybe just the sequencing was a little bit off, I'm not really sure. but it does seem that there's something missing there. Maybe it's a clue as to what happened to Skeletor. Okay, let me know. Either way, this was a pretty fun and interesting read with a lot of the world building that we've been used to from the recent MOTU mini-comics, a lot of new situations, new conflicts, new characters. But I kind of wish that we would have gotten a glimpse of what was actually unfolding on the box artwork, all the new characters that we're seeing here for the first time, like the laser light He-Man and Skeletor going at it. You know, situations that involve all of these characters here that were actually on the box artwork. Okay, that's what I wanted to see, all right? But let me know what you guys thought of it. Thanks for watching. As always, hit me up in the comments, and I'll catch you guys again real soon with more content right here. Thank you, and take care out there.